Friend, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Thank you for the honor of speaking with you this evening. It's a honor that I take very seriously. So again, I thank you. Friends, the foundation of integrity is accountability. We need to own our behavior. That is a central message of the Torah this week. Our portion, which is the last installment of the book of Exodus, begins with this statement. These are the records of the tabernacle of the pact, which were drawn up at Moses' bidding. Let's explain what that's talking about. Moses was a man of integrity, trusted by his people and trusted by God. Yet he initiates an audit. Moses gives a detailed accounting. Everything given to build the tabernacle needed to be accounted for. The Torah tells us 20 talents of gold, 100 talents of silver, 70 talents of copper. Nothing was left unaccounted for. You get the picture. Now, why did Moses do this? The Khatam Sofer offers one explanation. According to his view, Moses did not have to give an accounting. However, Moses wanted to teach future generations that it's important to be above suspicions. Note the accounting was undertaken not by Moses himself, but by, as the Torah tells us, and I quote, by the Levites under the direction of Itmar, in other words, by independent auditors. There's no hint of anything done by Moses was improper. And yet Moses feels obligated. There must be transparency and accountability. People in positions of trust must be and must seem to be individuals of moral integrity. Friends, accountability is so much part of a person's character. Many avoid it. And it doesn't have to be that an individual has done something criminal. Even if you haven't, people avoid it. People make mistakes or use poor judgment, and instead of owning up, they deny it, they make excuses for it, they blame other people, they rationalize it. Persons of integrity hold themselves to accountability. They're willing to own up to their mistakes and want to correct them. They have nothing to hide. Accountability is not just about personal behavior. It also impacts our collective behavior. Accountability is a fundamental to the current state of our world order. We are in the middle of a war, whether it's a world war, yet it remains to be seen. Western civilization is endangered by Vladimir Putin, who wants to uproot the democratic world order. And he's willing to do anything that is necessary to achieve the goal. Murder innocent people, destroy buildings, schools, hospitals, historical sites, nuclear reactors, infrastructure, tell one lie after another, slaughter his own soldiers. And we are in a perilous situation, and for his war crimes, Putin must be held accountable at some point. This list of evil seems to grow by the minute. But that's not the accountability that I want to share with you and discuss with you this evening. We need to speak about our own accountability. Abraham Lincoln said it so beautifully, we cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Are we willing to be accountable to history? Are we willing to be accountable to the values of freedom and democracy that we say we believe in? Are we willing to be accountable to those Ukrainians who are innocent victims and who have acquired guns and are fighting for their lives and freedoms? Are we accountable to the million refugees who are now homeless, perhaps permanently? What risk and sacrifices are we willing to make for their situation? There is one man who speaks for truth and accountability. This Jewish president of the Ukraine is Vladimir Zelensky. A former comedian, who has clarity of principles. He speaks daily to the world. And here are some excerpts from his speech to the European Parliament at the very beginning of the week. And I'm not doing it justice, so I'm going to give you just the last part that'll kind of illustrate my point. He says, we are Ukrainians. We have a desire to see our children alive. I think it is a fair one. Our people are very much motivated, very much so. We're fighting for our rights, for our freedoms, for our life, and now we're fighting for survival. The European Union is going to be stronger with us. That's for sure. Without you, Ukraine is going to be lonely and lonesome. We have proven our strength, and we have proven that at a minimum, we are exactly the same as you are. So do prove that you are with us. Do prove that you will not let us go. Do prove that you indeed are Europeans. And then life will win over death, and light will win over darkness. Glory be to Ukraine. Zelensky is clear. We are being held accountable. Zelensky is saying to us, remember history. For example, in the summer of 1938, Hitler threatened war over the issue of the Sudetenland, that historical German name for the northern, southern, and western areas of the former Czechoslovakia. And from the 29th to 30th of September 1938, the British, Italian, French, and German leaders met in Munich to discuss this issue. And the Allies agreed to concede the Sudetenland to Germany in exchange for a pledge of peace. This agreement was known as the Munich Pact, and we know how that worked out. And when did America join the fight against Hitler? Not in 1938, but in December 11th, 1941, 3 years too late. This week, the morning after Russian bombs fell at the site of 1941 massacre of the Ukrainian Jews, Zelensky called on the world Jews to speak out about what is happening in his country. And for the record, 3 of his grandfather's brothers were killed in the Holocaust. Russia's attack adjacent to Baba Yar, the Kyiv site where Nazis and local collaborators executed tens of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust, along with Putin's bombing of Uman, the Ukrainian city where hundreds of thousands of Jewish pilgrims visit each year, represents an attempt to erase Ukraine's history and identity. And this evening, Jews and non-Jews are hiding in the mikveh, the ritual bath of one of the synagogues in Uman. Zelensky said this past week, addressing all the Jews of the world, don't you see why this is happening? That is why it is important that millions of Jews around the world do not remain silent right now. Nazism is born in silence, so shout about the killings of the civilians. Shout about the killings of the Ukrainians. And to Russia, he said, you are killing Holocaust victims for the second time. Accountability is the essence, the basis of integrity. Accountability is the foundation of Western democracy. What we say matters. What we do matters. And we will be judged accordingly. On this Shabbat Eve, I say to you, we are in dark times. What the future will bring is unclear. And let us take seriously that what an evil person says he will do, he will ultimately do. I do not underestimate the complexity of this struggle at this moment. You know, there's part of me that just wants to wake up and say, this was just a nightmare. This isn't really happening, but it is. We do not want a war with Russia. Nuclear weapons could blow up the world. It needs to be avoided at all costs, but we need moral clarity and backbone. We need to ask ourselves, are we accountable? And to what and to whom are we accountable? Silence is not an option either. Democracy is something holy. Everything that we hold dear is on the line. I pray that we are brave and wise and principled and accountable, that we stand strong with the freedom defenders. This is a struggle between freedom and tyranny that we cannot lose. And for us, our Jewish souls are at stake. 100,000 Ukrainian Jews are in grave danger. The memory of the Holocaust victims who were slaughtered by another dictator 80 years ago could be erased by this Russian barbarian. We are challenged by the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. We dare not remain silent. We have no place to hide. Shabbat Shalom.